So this is a video reply because it's just going to be easier to do it via video than it is to try and type out this whole long reply to this. But I watch a lot of science videos on YouTube. Now, most of it goes over my head because, I'm not that smart, nor am I that educated. So I will put this as a general out, I guess. One, I am not a scientist. I only have a 2-year college degree versus all of the mathematicians and scientists and such in the world who are far, far more educated than I am. And three, there are far, far smarter people in general all over. So, but one of the things I have discovered through the years, and maybe you might find this true also, is the power of uneducated people. And it's an unwritten rule that I have discovered through the years of my life, in mostly my professions. But every once in a while, someone who has completely no idea what they're talking about will pop off with a great idea. And you might initially blow it off, but after doing some research and checking, you come to find out, damn it, they were right. And so the video that started this off is Michael John Gutierrez, who is an author and a futurist. And it was regarding this video here, looking for technosignatures on the moon. And of course, he has a guest speaker on here. And one of the many comments, that went along with this interviews, and like I said, one, Mr. Gutierrez is far smarter than I am to do this. Kind of like how our other one, Isaac Arthur over in Ashtabula County, a great YouTuber, also far, far smarter than me. So who am I to question the intelligence of these people? However, like I said, going back to that unwritten rule I have discovered a long time ago, the power of uneducated people sometimes will just throw out there. And like I said, you'll initially throw it out, disregarding it because you have so much more education. It's not physically possible, just to find out maybe there is some truth to what they said. And how they came up to it was completely out in left field. So in regards to this, I had made a comment. There's a discussion in there about if we found a technosignature from another alien species somewhere out in the universe, how would we communicate with them? And there was a comment, well, we'll just send them prime numbers. Now, prime numbers, absolutely, makes perfect sense to us. We all know what prime numbers are. Prime numbers are numbers that are only divisible with itself and 1. So prime numbers would work. So, but the question, and my comment was to that is, our prime numbers are based on base 10. And here's the reason why base 10 exists. That's right, 10 fingers. Well, 4 fingers on each hand and a thumb on the other. But if we found a technosignature or evidence of an alien species out in the universe somewhere, one, we would hope it would be close. But with the new satellites going up and the new telescopes going up, we might be able to what they call directly image alien planets, and we can look at their light spectra and say in that light spectra, we find oxygen and so on and so forth, but we find the tall tale signs of a civilization. For example, we find uranium or radiation in their atmosphere, which means they have cracked the atomic code. So once we have seen this, we come to the conclusion, okay, they must be technologically and advanced enough to understand certain basic concepts of science. Speed of light. Doesn't matter where you are in the universe, the speed of light is the speed of light. Now, our speed of light and what their equivalent of speed of light may be different. So it came down, well, how do you initiate first contact? And someone said, somewhere in there is, we would beam via laser our prime numbers. If that makes sense. Absolutely does. And of course, I did this little video over here I did a little bit of checking. It says, how far have our radio waves gone in space over the century? You can look this up. Here's the name, so on and so forth. It's interesting because our 1901 first radio transmission, or somewhere in there, has reached about 100 and some odd, 120 odd years out. Problem with that is our radio transmissions are omnidirectional, and so yeah, they're capable of traveling that far, but the further you go out, the wavelengths stretch out, and it just basically fades into the background noise of the universe. And so, although it's theoretically possible, we have transmitted out to, unintentionally transmitted out, to almost 119 years. So that's a good circle to us, but when you compare it to the universe, it's not. And so, yeah, watch the video. Interesting. Most likely, those signals have never reached 120 years out, because as radio waves go out, they get longer, they stretch out, and they just become worthless. Hence the reason why it was necessary to beam our prime numbers via laser to this alien species, and we were going to hope that they're probably within 20 to 50 light years away from us, so I mean we don't have to wait a whole lifetime to get a reply. So here we go. We've built lasers, not too hard, just it requires a lot of power to do this, and we've decided we're going to repeat the first 8 prime numbers in binary to this planet, and we will do this maybe once a year for the next 5 years for an extended period of time. Yes, it's a waste of energy if you're not a science person, but this is hopes that we can find a way of communicating with another alien species. So here's the thing. We're going to send our first 8 primary numbers via binary to this other planet, 20 years away. So it's going to take 20 years to get there. Hopefully they can decipher it, realize what we've done, and send a reply. So 20 years there, 20 years back for a reply. Time for this species, if they don't have the technology to build lasers, to research it, build it, and send a reply back. 50 years round trip. Ballpark, Anyways, so we send them our prime numbers. And the problem is our prime numbers are based on base 10. So that's 1, 3, 5, 7, here they are. But the problem is what we don't know with the alien species that we would be communicating with is, do they have 10 fingers? What if they don't? What if they only have 3? 2 digits and a thumb? Or maybe they have 3 fingers and a thumb. Counting systems with any species, again, this is an assumption, but I would assume that counting with any species is going to be based on your digits. Just makes sense. And so if they only have 2 fingers and a thumb, they're going to use a base 3 system. And if they have 3 fingers and a thumb, they're going to use a base 4 system. And if they're really, really strange, maybe they have 12 digits on each hand, so they would be a base 24 system. And so, again, we're going to send them our prime numbers, and we're going to do it via laser. And we're probably going to do it via flash. Blink. Blink, blink. Blink, blink, blink. Blink, 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 blink. See what I'm going at? We're flashing to them our prime numbers on base 10. Here's what they're going to see when they get over there. They're going to see this flashing, and they're going to say, hey. And they're going to study this pattern, and they're going to say, hey. And they're going to look at it and say, yeah. They're going to do the math and say, that's stronger than what it is. And there are, in everything that they've seen, they're seeing a laser communication come to them, and it's blinking. And it's repeated. So it's not a wow signal. If you don't know what the wow signal, look it up. But they're going to see this. And we're going to do it, like I said, over the course of several days, hopefully a couple of weeks. Stop. When we travel around 1 year to us, we'll repeat it again for another week, 2 weeks, whatever. wait, third year we come around, repeat it again. This way it is not a one-off. This alien species who's receiving these blinks are going to see that this is legit. This is alien contact. Here's what they're going to do with this number. They're going to see this series of 8 flashes, like I said, based on our prime numbers. You know, just real simple. And again, there's our first 8, 9 prime numbers in orange on base 10. But like I said, what happens if their counting system is not base 10? What if it's base 3, base 4? Well, they will eventually figure it out. But here's what's going to happen. The first people who are going to see this and see the blink, they're going to count. Makes sense, right? Okay, so 1, 2, and 3, first 3 prime numbers on any counting system, those are going to match, regardless. Don't care where you are in the universe, those first 3 numbers are going to match, unless they have 1 digit and 1 thumb. Can't think of an advanced species that could do that, but maybe. So we're going to assume base 3, men, 2 fingers, and an opposable thumb. So if we did the counting method on their base 3 system, we find out that the reds are a match. The blues do not, or the teals, whatever you want to call it. And so you can see where the problem is going to come with base numbers. So if they have a base 4 system, again, the first 3 numbers are going to match. And then after that, it just goes all to heck. So, but I got a couple of links down here I wanted to show. I put these in here. And again, they're showing, you know, prime numbers and sequences of different base numbers, and they're really, really good. Don't get me wrong. Let me open up this first one here so you can see it. Open link. Excuse me. So this one was really, really good. You know, it actually does the table kind of like how I did it. But they started with 1 versus 0. We have to assume, and again, this is completely wrong, I'm making the assumption, but if they've got radiation in their atmosphere from nuclear technology, they have discovered the power of 0. And believe it or not, until, I don't know, a couple hundred years ago, I'd have to look it up again, but 0 was never actually ever confirmed until a couple hundred years ago. Mathematically, it was never proven that 0 existed until a couple hundred years ago. Again, do some research on that. It's a fascinating story. But yeah, anyways, so this particular person, in the links there, you can check it out. Base numbers on different prime numbers on different base systems. And this is their interpretation of it. Makes perfect sense. In fact, upon reviewing this is where I corrected an error on my tables, but makes perfect sense. The other one was this one here, which, although I agree with, I disagree with it. So these are prime numbers in different bases. And they used a computer to come up with this. This is the base 10. And then this is binary. So again, binary should be pretty much universal across the universe. Should be. Let me specify that. Should be. It's either it's on or it's off. Binary. But if we're sending them 5 flashes, which is 5 ons, here's this. But these are all the other binaries, or prime numbers in binary. So you can see where the communication problem is going to be. And then, of course, if they have a base 3 system and they're seeing 5 flashes, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's what it should be if we sent it to them in their number system, but they're going to see 5 flashes, and they're like, you know, again, going back to this table, base 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they're going to get a 12, and I use 12 because it just keeps it simple, but they're going to see that and they're going to say, well, that's not a prime number. That's, you know, it doesn't match our prime number system, so what are they trying to communicate? So, again, science will eventually break this. You know, our scientists will be able to figure out what they're saying, as long as we can figure out a base system would work with. I think sending our prime numbers is a good start, but we have to remember that we have no idea what their number system is there, and of course, this is science will figure it out. And the perfect example of science, Star Trek actually addressed this issue very, very well. If you've never seen this particular Star Trek is Star Trek The Next Generation. I think it's called Night Terrors. The Enterprise is stuck in a Tychus rift. They all start going crazy because they can't sleep. Come to find out, because Counselor Troy is empathic or telepathic, the species who's also stuck on the other side of the rift, who can't communicate any other ways, can actually communicate telepathically with certain people, and they keep pulling Counselor Troy into this dream state, and they keep repeating this one moon circles. We find out a little bit later it's one moon circles another, and this is where it goes into trying to communicate. We come to find out that the other alien species in this episode is asking for hydrogen. Send us hydrogen, we can get us out. But it took the entire episode to figure out what this meant. One moon circles another, or one moon circles. Again, and this is a perfect example of how, I'm sorry, the show was called Eyes in the Dark, I guess. This is going to be a perfect example of what's going to happen when we do find another alien species out in the universe, is that communication initially, especially if they're roughly on the same technological level as we are. Star Trek is really, really good with this thing called a universal translator. And so we may develop this in the future, we may not. But, we've already got these kind of like in our societies already. If you ever watched a UN presentation, you always see them holding up something here. Yeah, universal translators. But it only works locally, so on and so forth. But anyways, going back to the prime number thing, our prime numbers are on a base 10 system. An alien species may not use a base 10 system. So it's certainly a way of getting their attention. Hey, we're here. And then, like I said, hopefully their scientists would be able to figure out what we're trying to communicate. And hopefully within 5 years or so, they'll figure out what we did, send a laser reply back to us, and then we'd have to interpret what they're trying to tell us. And maybe they're telling us their prime numbers in their number system. And then so we have to figure it out. So, again, just my thoughts. It was easier to explain it via video versus trying to type all this out because, and it's really easy to, pull up other videos to discuss it. But, that's my thoughts on why prime numbers not necessarily will work with communicating. Hey, we are intelligent. We know what the prime numbers are. Great. What if the other species is not using a base 10 system? They might not get the same numbers we got as prime. There are going to be universal truth. For example, going back to Counselor Troy here, one moon circles another, hydrogen all day long. Probably the next one that you send like that would be, the structure of water. And again, you would have to do this once we start figuring out a language that can work between the two species. Water would probably be the most other common thing. And we could send it via image binary. We have doctors and computer programmers and so on and so forth that can do this type of imaging on our binary code. And water would probably be, here's a picture of water. We call it water, but and then that would tell the other alien species, whatever their equivalent to water is and their atomic structure is, see, now we're starting to build things. So, sending off primary numbers based on our system numbering system, our number systems, like I said, there it is. Those are our primary numbers. Might not be primary numbers to the alien species who receives it. However, they will definitely know it's an intelligent, a sign of intelligence coming at them. And of course, we can only look to see a reply for them coming back. So, But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Do I think our primary, if we're sending out laser transmissions with our primary numbers to a potential alien species and says, hey, we're here, this is our number system, do I think it would work? It'd definitely get their attention. Do I think they would understand what the primary numbers are? The first three, yes. After that, it all goes to heck. So, again, just my thoughts. Again, throwing this out here as a video reply. And once again, I remind people that of all the things in the world, the unwritten rule of the power of the uneducated people, sometimes we'll throw this out there, and those who are really, really smart are going to say, damn, maybe they are right. I could be completely wrong. Or, as in many cases, a lot of this stuff, when someone who makes an uneducated reply like this, it gets dismissed. And it might be completely 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 years down the road before it's rediscovered. So, anyways, just my thoughts. Take it as you wish, and we'll just go from there. Talk to you later.